The next topic, you guys mentioned as a cool topic that we're going to cover in Miami that I think is very interesting, the comparison between static guided surgery and dynamic guided surgery, meaning when you plan a surgery on the software, an implant, basically an implant surgery on the software, you have two options. You can then print a guide to guide your hands to place the implant where you planned, or you can translate the same plan into a navigation system to guide the procedure through these navigators. So we're going to have one more webinar today with specialists that will be sharing the stage with me in Miami for the Kois Coachman Course. This course that I think will be so special. Unique opportunity to see John Kois on stage outside his center in Seattle. For me, John Kois is the most important dental teacher in the world today, for sure. And I know that he is planning to slow down, and that's the reason why I think this course will be unique. One of the reasons why this will be unique, because I don't know how many opportunities we're going to have to see him after this event. He's bringing his A team with Dean Kois, his son, amazing clinician and also speaker, and Marta Revilla, that is, if not the number one of the most important researchers and authors in the digital dentistry topic. So she's going to be on stage with us. So when John Kois mentioned to me that he was bringing Dean and Marta, I realized that I also had to bring my A team to be at the same level on stage. And I chose two of my dearest friends, but also for me, the biggest experts on digital dentistry that I know, Vinicius Machado and Vicente Gimeno. Vinicius has been my partner in many projects in Brazil. We developed stuff together, we worked together, we gave courses together in Brazil. And Vicente has been our main clinician on the DSD clinical course in Sevilla, where doctors from all over the world are coming to learn the DSD clinical applications. And Vicente has been the master, the expert, executing these treatments alongside with others, other great clinicians that have been joining us. But Vicente has been always the person to go when it comes to questions related digital technologies, its applications, and comparisons between different systems. Vicente, shared with me recently a picture of your practice with all your old scanners. So yes, I have to start with this question. How many of these old scanners do you have? Which models do you have? Since when you've been testing intraoral scanners? Just as a parenthesis here, please answer me this question.
I think maybe I have here scanners in my practice from the final part of the 80s.
Which one is the oldest scanner you have? Yeah,
1985. But here I have scanners from the final part of the 80s, and maybe I start to use intraoral scanners with maybe from 2008 was my starting on this type of practice. Maybe now you can see much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my one, and it's working.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working. All of these are working. Here we have the scanner, the cameras, and in the same machine we have the milling machines with discs. Here with Zerek 2, I start with Zerek 3, but here we have Zerek 2 with the same machine, with the same camera, very similar camera, and we try to design in two-dimensional. It was crazy 15 years ago to try to design in two dimensionals. When we start with Zerek 3, the same. Here I have Zerek 3 from 2000 and starting in two-dimensional, and after this part starting in 3D. Blue cams, Omnicams, and in the other side, the first Itero Evo from 2007. And my crown, it's similar to Zerek, and here we have a different scanner, 3M, true definition, 3 2, and all of this, it's like a cemetery. Now in my boxes we have the actual scanners, but yes, we have a little experience, and it's like a freaky cemetery party just in this part of my office.
Not a cemetery, it's a museum. You need to
It's a
save
museum,
this.
yes.
This is going to be
Yeah.
part of history. Super, super cool. But the reason why I asked this question is because the same way you work with scanners, you work with so many different technologies. And I don't know somebody that has been trying all different brands like you. I don't know how you do it, but you always have a big perspective on new technologies. You know the different brands, the different systems. You use them, you compare them. Every time I ask you a question, you always have an answer. This is better with this, that one is better with that. And of course, that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad to have you on stage with me in Miami in this course, because, you know, the Kois team and Marta, they're going to be explaining how they've been using technology. And on their side, they also have a unique position because as the Kois Center is so well known, they get technologies from all the companies as well, right? And they test different technologies. So it's going to be amazing to compare your experience with their experience in terms of different brands and different systems, what makes sense and what still doesn't make sense. I think that's the biggest thing about this course. I'm going to play the devil's advocate. I'm going to be the moderator. I'm going to be asking the questions and moderating the discussion. And I really want to learn from all of you, you know, what is the best option for each one of the major procedures that we are doing in restorative dentistry, and surgery and implants and so on. So we're going to go over all these procedures. You guys will present what is available, and then we're going to start this roundtable about pros and cons and comparisons that I believe will become very powerful and will hopefully lead us to some common sense, to a consensus. I really want to see a consensus by asking the right questions to get to a consensus of what is the best option, what is the best choice when it comes to using or not using digital, and which brand to use in each situation. So it's going to be very, very cool. On the other hand, we're going to have also the pleasure to have Vinicius with us. And Vinicius is a pioneer by nature. Vinicius is always at the forefront. Um, Vicente is a heavy user and a scientist behind these technologies, comparing them. But Vinicius is a developer. He is constantly developing solutions, and his unique perspective is that he owns a chain of radiology imaging centers in Brazil. So the same way that we here in the lab, we are able to work with many, many dentists, Vinicius the same. He's getting all kinds of cases and helping dentists leverage technology to design, plan, and manufacture devices. So he's been at the forefront. He's been using some of the devices that we developed here at DSD, but also he has been developing from scratch some very, very smart devices. And I want to start with you, Vinicius, asking you uh, how far we can go with digital planning and guided procedures, and what are the new guides that you're going to be sharing with us in Miami.
Great. Thank you for being here. Um, to start, we have been using digital for veneers and implants and ortho with aligners. Um, about 10 years ago, I started to do some development in the endodontic field. Um, and also some colleagues from Europe, they were doing the same. And nowadays, we are not just guiding endo in cases of calcified canals or fiber post removal, but also in epicoectomy and surgeries in endo regarding sites that are too near from noble structures like sinus and another roots or even the alveolar canal. So precision in this case matter a lot because if you do a mistake, you can make some damage in another uh, tooth or another part of the patient, and the interference will be much greater than, for example, the removal of this tooth and inserting an implant to solve the case. So these guides, especially in epicoectomy, are very, very nice, and they are not usually used or known by a lot of colleagues. So I really like this one.
So you
And
think
all, sorry.
so you think that apicectomy guides you mentioned, increase efficiency, speed up the process of the procedure. Of course, I love the fact of using guides not only because we can leverage the utilization of the guide. One another thing that I love about using guides is that it forces you to plan the case previously. It forces you to go over the case digitally in 3D, even if you don't use a guide. Just by planning to use the guide, you have to do the surgery virtually first, and it forces you to really analyze in 3D the situation, evaluate all the tissues and surrounding infrastructures, and forecasting possible mistakes, right? So you're rehearsing the surgery on your mind, and then when you're executing it for real, it's like doing it for the second time. And of
Yeah.
course, that if you use the actual guide, you can be even more efficient. So
That's perfect.
Vicente, have you ever used apicectomy guides? Have you ever planned this type of thing? Do you do that type of surgery? What do you think about this?
Yes, I use this type of guides maybe many years, maybe 10 years ago with, with Bluescape Plan was a very simple software to design all of these type of guides. And I'm totally according with you. When you are making the planning in your mind with the software and you are analyzing all the CBCT,
Mhm.
you can learn the surgery with a conventional dentistry. Maybe, okay, I have an lesion, I have more or less x millimeters to do the access, and you make the action. You are not analyzing all of this data all of this time. And and the using of all of these guides for the epiceptomy, open and maxillary sinus, and all of these procedures, I think, yeah, from many years, with this type of softwares, we can create these guides, and
And
we are making, like you say, the surgery before the real surgery, and we have all the data. You can analyze much better with this type of
and
planification.
and you can as I hear always Vinicius mentioning, you can be more minimally invasive in the surgery, right? The
Yes.
the insertion, the everything can be smaller and more precise. So of course, recovery, you know, can be faster as well. So as we see the advantages, why do you think so little doctors are using these type of devices? Maybe the
Vinicius,
labs are not prepared. Maybe the dentists are not finding the labs that can do that. Maybe people don't want to invest the time on the planning. Do you think that is worth the time? And time is money. So the money that you invest to plan it, does it make sense financially with the efficiency that you get on the surgery and the better recovery from the patient?
I think,
Especially,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Please, sorry, Vinicius, start you first of all.
Just one point. Since epicoectomy is not a procedure that the industry is selling anything with it, like guided implants, the industry is selling the implants and maybe the customized helium abutments and another stuff that can they push the market forward to this direction. So this kind of procedure, they are not selling anything. So it's not well. There is no propaganda around this kind of procedure, and I think not enough dentists knows about that. So what we do here, it's like we are spreading the news. Every single new guide that we are trying to develop here, we do some courses, but for sure we don't have the strength like the industry has. So it's difficult.
Tell me a little bit about the root coverage perio guide. That's we know that we've been using and we developed years ago the double crown lengthening perio guide, but you're talking about a root coverage perio guide. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, this everything I do, it's based upon other doctors' needs, and also, of course, what I see in literature. So I received this paper from André Vilela, a very good periodontist in São Paulo, and there was this technique of CAF, not the modified technique, but the CAF for root recovery, and the incisions were made using a guide. But what André wanted that time was to do a much complicated, much more complex incisions with like a CAF modified CAF, and also he wants to do the Zucchelli technique, and now we are designing the incisions with the guide based on a digital planning. So it's very nice because the doctor can correct us if anything is not well planned. And only after that, we design the guide, and this guide serves to do the incisions, only the incisions. You have to manage the flap by yourself and everything else by yourself. But the incisions, that is I think, the hard work during this kind of surgery, the guide is delivering now. So it's very, very nice, very new.
What about the pathology removal guide? So you identify, what is it? You identify the lesion on the CBCT, and then you develop a guide for the dentist to make the right incision at the right position.
Yes. Sometimes the doctor wants to insert the implants at the same time of the pathology removal. So we need to preserve as much bone as we can, and we design the area that he can do the osteotomy, and also, since we have the design of this area, we can use as much as possible bone around the pathology to plan the implants. So normally, usually, the guide will be two guides, one for the pathology and one to insert the implants around this. But of course, some pathologies are not recommended to be removed and the implant inserted at the same surgery. But if it's not a more aggressive pathology, you can do that with a very safety manner using these double guides.
Don't give all the details. You're gonna
Okay, sorry.
you're gonna show all the details in Miami at the course. But we have a question here. Do you think that, and Panos is asking, do you think that by using a double guide concept, one for osteotomy and one for apicosectomy, the accuracy of the procedure can be increased?
Yes, for sure. Actually, our guides do both. Our guides do both because at the same window and the sleeve that we insert into the guide, you can do the very, very small osteotomy. And then with trifina, how do you say in English, trifina? The burr. We have this bone removal burr that's called here in Brazil, I don't know, trifina. And you do the root epiectomy just after the osteotomy through the same sleeve. So it's very, very small damage to the bone, and also the bone crest is way better preserved. So it's very safe.
Now, one topic that I'm really looking forward to see you showing and teaching us about it is the definitive facial harmonization with biovolumes, right? I saw some cases and I think that possibilities are amazing. Explain briefly to us, what is it?
Yes, this is a super cool topic. We are developed this since 2018. We started with gum treatment, and in 2011, Luiz Naldi from Goiânia, Brazil, he described this technique to insert surgical cement in the premaxillary just above the nose of the patient, and this volume limited the mobility of the lip, and the gum smile was treated like that. But this is a handmade procedure, and we idealized to do that digitally. So we designed the same. Sorry. Okay.
First, define biovolumes. What are biovolumes?
Okay.
Biocompatible
Yes.
prostheses that you can design digitally and manufacture them and screw them in permanently. Is that correct?
That's it. That's it. We use biocompatible resins from Formlabs, for example. They have very good ones with FDA approval, Class 6 material.
You can print them, these pieces. You can print these pieces.
Yes, yes. And after sterilization, you can insert into the patient. And
so not only for below the nose to generate volume, change the lip dynamics, improve gummy smiles, you can also do chin, mandible, the angle of
malar
the
region. Yes.
Zygoma.
Yes. And also piriform aperture.
Here, besides the nose.
Piriform aperture, just beside them, you can increase the volume, and the face of the patient is well improved. Also, malar region is also amazing. The result is amazing for patients who have maxillary discrepancy, and it's very, very nice.
It's almost like a simple mini orthodontic surgery. You can get the results of an orthodontic surgery without doing the orthodontic surgery.
Yes, and you know, we are doing a lot with your good friend Octavio Sintra, and we will be showing some cases that we are doing together, and some patients that already have done the surgery. They are looking for this kind of treatment, so they could avoid a second or third surgery. So it's very nice, very nice.
Have you ever tried this, Vicente?
No, I love this type of surgery. I see the publications from Octavio, and the problem I think in Europe it's different with the printed products. You cannot print some materials and include into the intravoni or in an internal part of the mucosa. We cannot print and do this. Maybe there are different materials to do this. You can use something like PMMA, or there are something like an grafting materials. You can print like something like bone. It's a synthetic bone, and you can retain this type of systems to the same effect, but it's not the same material. I hope in not many years to start to use this, but it's a regulatory problem, I think, here in Europe with all of this.
Got it. Check. In US, can you do that in US, Vinny?
Oh, I really don't know.
We should research that before the course to bring this information to the people, or patients should go down to Brazil.
Yeah.
But the next topic, you guys mentioned as a cool topic that we're going to cover in Miami is one that I think is very interesting. The comparison between static guided surgery and dynamic guided surgery, meaning when you plan a surgery on the software, an implant, basically an implant surgery on the software, you have two options. You can then print a guide to guide your hands to place the implant where you planned, or you can translate the same plan into a navigation system to guide the procedure through these navigators. So briefly explain the difference between both, Vinny.
So the concept for the planning is pretty much the same, but after the plan is done, static guides can be printed chairside or from a lab, and you have this period of the production you have to wait, and with that in your hands, you have to perform just exactly like planned. So if some intercurrence appears, you have to manage that. Okay. With dynamic systems, I think older surgeons or more experienced surgeons will be more delighted to use because they are very used to freehand surgery. And this technology can deliver the same atmosphere they have in the daily practice, but with the precision of a pre-planning. So that is very, very cool, and I think this is the missing link from the new generation of surgeon and the older generation. So basically, with that, there will be a union, and I think everybody will talk about planning digitally the surgeries, and of course doing it guided. Besides, will be static or dynamic, doesn't matter, but the results will improve a lot.
In the near future, you see that everything will come together and the surgeon will be able to choose the modality for each situation. You said that the navigation system, the dynamic guided surgery procedure is like giving to the surgeon, it's like a third eye, his third eye. He has another eye looking into the surgery. So he can see with his own eyes, but he can see in a different way, and he can adapt to the situation because you're not strict to a guide, right? You're not strict to a physical static guide. And you mentioned the problem. The only issue with the static guide is that if you need to change the plan a little bit for any reason, the guide goes to the trash. You cannot use the guide anymore, right? So
Exactly.
you can use the guide to give you a reference, and then you can continue freehand. So maybe the ideal is to have the guide to use, and if you need, you can use the dynamic guide if you need to improvise or if you need to adapt to any situation.
Yeah, sometimes when we are in a case that we can call the limited cases, it's very nice to have a sleeve that you go just through it and no variation is done. This is very nice, like to not reach the alveolar canal or the sinus. And sometimes be free-handed, it's the better choice. So you have to, in the future, if you can have access to both, it will be the perfect.
You have to understand.
The
Have you
perfect
used
situation,
this?
yes.
These, Vicente, have you done dynamic guided surgeries?
Yes, I use into the past dynamic surgery, and I love these procedures. You know, depend of the machine that you use to do this, because you know there are some difference into the timing, and there are like a little delay in some machines. Again, this is critical in this type of learning curve. It's different in guide surgery, like navigated surgery. I think it's more difficult to use the navigation in real time. It's a little bit, I think, more complex than conventional guide. The limitations, you said all of this. If you suffer any complication with guide surgery, you need to continue freehand, and sometimes you are lost or there are not more possibilities. And with navigated surgery, you can put in a solution. You can change the planning in the same moment of the surgery, and you can place the implant just into the plane B or another position. I think this is a great successful from this point of view. If we talk about precision or accuracy in this type of surgeries, the literature says that guide surgery is more precise than the navigated surgery, because navigated at finally it's in a free hand and you have a guide into the computer. You know, it's different. You have more accuracy. The timing today, it's different. Like, for example, 3-4 years ago, now we have a new LCD printers with Folabs, with Spring Ray, with Accurata. There are many companies who create a great 3D printers with very interesting materials, and now we can take this type of guides in less than 1 hour. The problem, the design, we need to design this. If it's for example, like with DSD concept and a click guide, we need a lot of time to design this type of surgery. If it's a simple guide, it's very fast, and we have a lot of software with an AI. It's much easier than some years ago. You know, depend of the timing of this design. But with this design, if we use an click guide, for example, or stackable guides, we can do an osteotomies and a guide osteotomies. And the first guides, it's in a very interesting osteotomies when we use an all-on-X technique. And this is not possible with navigated guide, navigated surgery. This is critical because from my point of view, okay, it's only an opinion, this is a great successful part of the click guide or stackable guides to do an correct osteotomy based in a facial planning. And with this type of guides, we can place the final temporary teeth or in the correct position. By the other way, you are in a free hand, okay? We need to pay the occlusal or pressure, or it's not so accuracy with this part, okay? But there are a positive feedback with both. And I think, like you said, Christian, it's very interesting, the combination of these both possibilities.
Yeah. So I definitely think that in the future, you're going to have a combined system where you have guides as a starting point, but you have the navigation to help you if you need to adapt the plan as you go. The other thing related to implants and perio is bone augmentation powered by digital, right? We know that we've been planning implants with digital and guiding implants with digital since many, many years. But the grafting procedure was always the same, right? So you would just open the flap, see the defect, and start to use materials to try to grow. And there was very little relationship between the graft and the plan, right? It was a guessing process. And we know that some companies started to develop guides for the grafting procedure. You know, even milling the bone graft itself. And I know that Vinicius has been an early adopter of these technologies in Brazil. He helped companies develop these solutions. And now, Vinicius, you're talking about a new way of guiding these grafting procedures. What is it?
Yes, actually, we started, as you said, with bone milling, and the result among the doctors were that some of them couldn't manage soft tissue, and with a week of exposure of the surgery and the bone, they lost everything, and but the guilty guy was always me. Doctors never do anything wrong, right? So I realized that some publication in the field of doing zirconium barriers were done in Italy 14 years ago, I think, 15 years ago. And I start, as a suggestion of Miguel Stanley, to do this kind of guides actually, but the difference, this was already done, but the difference, I start using DSD to design the ideal prosthetic goal, and after that I start the implant planning, and just after the implant planning, when I could realize the amount of bone that I need to do that implant in that specific positioning regarding the DSD that already was planned. Just
reverse. So you're talking about
yes,
reverse engineering the
exactly,
grafting design,
exactly. That's it.
designing the grafting procedure by reverse engineering the smile or where you want to be with the prosthesis, right?
And that what I think is the best choice, because sometimes we are just guessing the amount of bone we need, and we are putting a lot of bone extra than we already needed, and for that we have to deal with more soft tissue, more flaps, and the surgery became more complex than it should be. And using the SD for all our cases, it started to giving us great and a higher success rate of osseointegration and less exposure. So I think that's the way we have to go through, because it's not a thing that I developed. I just combined two already technologies, BSD and zirconia barriers from 15 years ago, and they were put aside, I think, because of that. They are losing material or something like that. But nowadays they are getting back, and they are trying to print zirconia also, not only milling. We do milling. We use milling machines to do that. We are not printing zirconia, but the results are great, and in the hands of many doctors, not just one good doctor. And that's what for me, it's very nice to see, because when you see the technology working with anyone, you really can replicate science, and that's the way science should be replicated by anyone.
So we're gonna see that, and it's gonna be great to see Vicente's opinion on different ways of guiding grafting procedures. We know that we have these different styles, different modalities. The titanium meshes, the milled bone, just guessing, or now the zirconia barriers. And it's going to be nice to see you guys showing them and comparing them and discussing the pros and cons, and allowing us to see where we are moving into the future. You know, which system has the bigger chance to become the new gold standard.
I think with all of these regenerating procedures, when we guide all of this, for example, when we used to do a conventional regeneration with these techniques to know if we make an reverse engineering to calculate how many bone do we need for these implants. For example, I don't like to use at the same time implants with bone, because it has a high risk of failure, because at the final it's biology needs vascularization, and if we use which type of bone, allograft, which mix we can do with this. In Europe, we cannot use an allograft mill. We need to buy a special allografts with it's very difficult for the European rules to use an allograft, because maybe in other countries it's totally different, but here in Europe it's at this moment in the last since 2018 it's very, very complicated. And in Spain, for example, Christian, disappear a lot of wraps for a soft tissue for the bone, and now it's complicated to use for example, the bone builder. If you know, it's one company who creates this in United States, and they create the graft that you need and makes this reverse engineering very, very interesting. But here there are something similar within synthetic materials, and you cannot do vertical regeneration with these materials. You only can do horizontal regenerations. You can use here in Europe only PRP. You can use endogame, and you can use not much materials. You cannot use, for example, BMP like in United States. I don't know in Brazil. Vinicius, can you use BMP in Brazil?
Not anymore. They not renew the license, so it's out of our market also. And I totally agree about doing the implant at the same time of the bone regeneration. We do the plan just to know the amount of bone that we need, but we not suggest to do it together.
Yeah. I think maybe to do the plan, I think it's perfect, because we use this procedure, for example, to do an accurate technique. We calculate in which positions we need to place the implants, and after this part we calculate the lamina, which is the best size and which is the proportion that we can extract in the ramus or in the menthem in another locations to take the bone that we need. Okay, because you always need much than necessary, not less. I think this guide surgical procedures are very, very interesting for the regeneration, for the final restoration. Okay, we start from this point and we finish in the surgical augmentation. But for example, you talk about zirconia mesh. I have not experienced in this material. At the final, it's very interesting. It's similar to titanium. The difference with titanium, it's the treatment of this titanium. If it's roughness titanium, if it's mill, it depends on the surface. The result can be different. At the final, I think there are not a lot of differences. Maybe the zirconia is much better for the fibroblast. It's more comfortable for this type of cells, but I have not experienced. We maybe need to put in a balance to know if you have any risk of fracture this type of mesh during the placement. With titanium, it's very comfortable. You can modify a little bit to introduce or to at the final for the clinic. Yeah,
we're gonna further discuss this in Miami. You're gonna make the tough questions in
You know,
Miami, and
very,
and
very.
the 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 next topic Vinicius mentioned was the digital bottleneck. You mentioned
Yeah.
there's a digital bottleneck, and that is the digital documentation, meaning what the dentist is doing in terms of acquiring information before sending to the lab, before sending to an aligner company, before sending to an implant company, before sending to an imaging center. Nowadays, we have different suppliers of digital plans and digital designs and devices trying to support the dentist, but it's up to the dentist to create the documentation, to digitalize the patient, and share the right information for all these new players develop the best plan and manufacture the best devices. So why do you mention that digital documentation is a bottleneck, Vinicius?
Actually, still nowadays, there is a lot of lack of information among not only dentists, and in here in Brazil, it's a different perspective because we not usually have all the machines in our practice. So there is radiologic centers that do the documentation for us, and neither the radiologic center or the dentists that are trying to do the case digitally, they are not used to it yet, and because of that, a lot of issues with the CBCT or photos or even the intraoral scanning pass by without being noticed, and we receive this documentation, and it's very common to ask for some repetitions, and this make the process slower and also inconvenient for the patient to go back to the radiology center to redo the scanning or the CBCT, and for the CBCT is even worse because there is radiation that will be double exposure to the patient, and I have this this battle to spread the correct documentation how they can do it, but again, I'm not the industry and I have a not huge microphone to spread the word, but I'm trying.
Yeah, but it's gonna be very nice to have you explaining what it means ideal information, what it means ideal files, ideal quality of 3D information that a dentist should understand to leverage their lab and to leverage all these companies that are helping them, right? I think it's important for the dentist to understand because you only understand there's a problem if you know what is the
Exactly.
norm, what is the standard,
Exactly.
right? Many
Exactly.
times the dentist is scanning a patient and the dentist doesn't know how to evaluate the file, the mesh, the quality of the surface, right? So we need to be able to understand how to create quality, but how to evaluate the information to
Yeah,
identify.
and sometimes the doctor, uh, sorry, and 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 sometimes, are you hearing me? It's okay.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, sorry. And sometimes the doctor, uh, sorry about that. It's a phone call. Sorry, I'm back. So the doctor, it's not able to do a 2D photo, and it's buying a 3D photo machine. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a huge problem.
that's true. So we have to control the information that we generate, and we're gonna have a very good discussion about what is the minimum information that we need to develop great digital work. And the final topic you brought, Vinicius, was this question. I want to finish with this question. Uh, Software matters. What do you mean with this question, if software matters?
Actually, just to make a point, because software does matter if you're starting now with the digital planning, because free softwares are more access, it's more access through the new generation, because you don't have to buy it, and it's easier to download it and start using. But sometimes important parts of the process, like the superimposition of the CBCT and intraoral scanning in this kind of softwares, can be more difficult to do correctly than paid softwares. And even software that are from great companies can diverge in some aspect. And sometimes they can make the process more precise, and the operator don't have to be so experienced. And sometimes you have to do a lot of errors and learn with them to start doing better
So,
guides and designs. So
what you're saying, is that more and more, like everything that evolves in digital, more and more you have cheap or free solutions online that people can download and use. And the question is, should I pay for a software if I can download a free one? And what is the difference? And where the paid software will make a difference, if there is a
exactly.
difference, right? What type of mistakes that a good software will minimize or will reduce the chances of making that mistake.
Perfect.
And but at the end of the day, the quality of the surgeon, the quality of the dentist is what matters the most, of course. But nowadays, with digital becoming so common, we already see the differences in terms of software. The same way that we see in scanners. There's amazing scanners, there's cheap scanners, there's scanners that almost for free, but we know there's a difference, right? So understanding what makes the difference is important for people to make their choices. So I think it's going to be important for you guys to show the whole range. If you want to do this with technology, you have from A to Z, you have from the top level to the bottom. Maybe for this simple thing, it doesn't make a difference. You can go for the cheap one. But maybe for that, it does make a difference. And you should choose more quality. So this is what I think every dentist will have to learn, how to interpret the digital solutions that we have out there. Because at the beginning, for example, with scanners, the question was, does scanners work, yes or no? Nowadays, the question is, which scanner does what better? Why? What do you need, right? So you need to start asking questions with the outcome in mind. What do you want as an outcome? What do you want to improve? What step do you want more efficiency? What part of the process that matters the most? What is the outcome that you want? And then interpret the available technology based on that outcome, right? So I think that it's going to be amazing for all the participants, not only to be listening to this discussion on stage, but also interacting with you guys during the breaks and during the social events. Because if I was a participant of this course, I would be all over you guys. If you bring together, but the both of you plus Marta, you don't have many opportunities to be hanging out with three of the most knowledgeable people in the world when it comes to digital dentistry, honestly speaking. So I think that getting to know you guys, exchanging contacts, being able to reach out to you guys after the course, for me, maybe is one of the most valuable things of this event. Not only listening to the lectures, but actually connecting with the best digital experts to be able to continue the discussion even after the course. I think that everybody should leverage that. So we went through all the 5 topics that you guys brought. I think it was a great warm up, a great summary, just a little teaser here. And I really hope that some people that are still undecided, not decided yet of joining us or not, will make the decision and will join us in Miami for this very, very special course, very, very special event that will discuss the reality of digital solutions. This my main goal is to make this very, very pragmatic, very realistic. What works, what is bullshit, what matters, what doesn't, what is ready, what is not ready, what is mature and what is not mature yet. Because we are overwhelmed with opportunities, we are overwhelmed with products and brands and new developments. And the key is to filter what makes a difference and what doesn't make a difference at this point. And I want to be there asking the right questions to get to know from John Kois, from Dean and Marta, and from both of you what really matters to become a modern dentist. So it's going to be very, very cool. If you have your final words, both of you, for our listeners.
Can I go first?
Go.
So I'm really enthusiastic about technology, and for me, it's super cool to share what we have been doing from the last 20 years, and of course, also receiving feedbacks from experience of the students and you, Chris, and Vicente and Marta. I'm really look forward to be there and really excited. So this will be a great event. Hope to see everyone there. And if anything I can help until there, just send me a direct message on Instagram. It'll be a pleasure.
Perfect, Vini. Vicente.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here with you because for me it's I love all the Marta articles. I'm a #1 fan of Marta because for me now she's the #1 into the world in actually she publishes every week only one course like this with Marta. It's very, very interesting for the modern dentistry, but your combination, Christian, with Kois, I think you are extracting all the pragmatic dental practice, the modern dentistry, the guide dentistry, and at the final, I think I will be there with you, with Vinicius, with you, with all the staff, to enjoy all of this experience, because for me it's a unique opportunity to extract the best of the actual dentist, to be real, to be pragmatic, not to buy machines, to use the machines because this is the actual mode. It's people are crazy with all of this, and I think if you want to extract the best or not the best, the most pragmatic or practice or realistic conclusions of modern dentistry and computerized dentistry, you have to follow us to Miami. Thank you so much, Kristen, to
Perfect.
give me talking about this.
And we're gonna have fun for sure. It's gonna be fun. So see you guys soon. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating. See you in Miami. Bye-bye.
See you.